Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Like that, 3 of them for good luck. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. Sevon is traveling home from Oregon today, so it's gonna be me. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna talk a little bit about my 24 hours at CrossFit Mayhem in the Mayhem Classic. Good morning, Marissa. How you doing? I get to meet Judy Reed. That was really cool. Trish, I made my coffee too strong. No such thing. Also, too, we may have a special guest joining us briefly this morning. Not just me, Standy. Not just me. But I can't hype it too much because if it doesn't happen, then then it's gonna look like it was just it was all hype. Morning, Brian. How you doing? Wait, where's your tea attire? This is it. Oh, coffee tea. The thumbnails are crazy, right? The new AI thing. Oh my gosh. Standy, lucky. I want to meet Judy. You will not be disappointed. I got to meet Judy Reed, the Judy Reed from the comments, and her lovely daughter, and they were great. You know, we've been super fortunate because everybody that we met from the chat that we see at these events and come say hi, have a couple conversations, hang out for a little bit. Everybody's been super cool. I just heard Colton's calling in. Ooh, maybe. Good guess. Who do we think? Better be the hog. Might. I don't know. Sousa coming in hot. He was definitely pumping himself up in the green room. I was having a conversation with Savon like 2 seconds before this. And I was trying to bring up this clip I'm going to play for you guys real quick. And it kept not loading. So, of course, I got, you know what I mean, get a little nervous. I met Sousa at the games last year. Barry, I met you as well. You're great. Odd, what's up? Good morning. Good morning. Craig, do you think Alexis will return to TTT Gym and train with their elites again? See, this is the type of tea we need. This is what we're talking about here. Did anybody surprise you guys over the weekend? Holy crap. Fee, huh? Wow. She really did great. I met Sousa at the games last year. Yep, sure did. It's fun hanging out. Barry, I'm surprised you drink a latte. Oh, Dan, I didn't even read your comment. Here we go. I knew it, dude. As soon as I saw it. I met Sousa at Zelos, and he was a douche canoe to me. Oh, my Atlanta, dude. That haunts me. You know it does. You know it does. Said I didn't shake his hand. And that's not okay in my book. Someone comes and meets you, you give him a proper handshake. You know what I mean? Except for not Daniel. You know what you're getting? Pelvis to pelvis hug when I see you. That's right. So you better be ready for that. You better be ready. And if I catch you from behind, we're still going pelvis to pelvis. So watch your back when you're at one of these events. Okay, check this out. This is my favorite author. You guys probably know this if you listen to the show. Don't worry, Standy, it's not a book. But this is Robert Greene. And this resonated with me here. So we're going to play it.
Single most powerful thing you can learn in your life. What you need to do is when you have a feeling, let's say for me, often anger, frustration, irritation, excitement, love, whatever it is, you want to stop yourself and look at it with a degree of detachment. And you want to say, all right, I'm feeling this anger now in the moment. Where is it coming from? I think it was triggered by what this person said, but maybe it isn't. Let me analyze it. Let me see if perhaps it might have come from a conversation in the morning with my girlfriend or boyfriend, or perhaps it has to do with something that happened a week ago, or maybe it has something to do with some issue in my childhood. Whatever it is, you want that power whenever you feel a strong emotion to be able to step back and analyze and tell yourself, what is it that I'm really feeling in the moment? And look at it perhaps from another angle, almost as if you were looking at it as if you were another person looking inside your own brain, your own body. This is the single most powerful.
We need a lot more of that, especially in the CrossFit space. Man, the amount of people that just act subconsciously all the time is crazy to me. And we all do it for sure. You know what I mean? Like someone cuts you off at the freeway and you just like fly off the handle for a minute and you're like, whoa, that got crazy. I got way too worked up about that. One of the issues is nobody really sits down and just decides like, why? Why do I really want Dave Castro fired from the CrossFit Games? Have I actually analyzed that thought? Have I really deeply thought about how I feel about the situation? Or did I just sign it because I thought it was the good thing to do? Man, it's w- so we have the ACEs Youth and Strength and Conditioning program at the gym, and the kids are age range from like 11 to 14ish or so, and you get a bunch of stupid middle school aged boys into a room, and they all start slapping around and causing distractions and everything else, and I treat them like adults, so we'll pull them off to the side, and I'll be like, hey, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? We're trying to work out here. We want to squat. Like, you guys are just screwing around. Like, why are you acting this way? And they stare at you just like, uh, and especially when you pull them out of the platform of the group, so they're not getting the attention and they're just off to the side, and it's just me and the two or three of them that were screwing around on a one-on-one. I just legitimately ask him, like, so what are you guys trying to accomplish? And obviously they're young. They're not trying to accomplish anything. They're just being dumb, like, screwing around. Same crap I did when I was a kid. But as an adult, you should at least then say, "Oh, I'm acting this way because of this, or I feel this way because of that." If you make strong statements and you're doing it on the platform and you're waving your hands for a bunch of attention, someone gives it to you and says, "Yeah, okay, well, what do you want? Explain to your position," and you have nothing, and you sit there and you stare at me like, "Ugh." It's like, have you even really thought through how you feel about the situation, or are you just flowing down the river of popularity with everybody else? Worked up over that shit, especially in COVID times. That's my triggering emotion. That's where this comes from. All those people like tattletelling on each other and shit. Anyhow, Wodify is a sponsor. This is an amazing segue. And I'm super pumped about this sponsor. They're doing a $79 deal for any gyms or coaches that want to jump on board. And uh let me just make sure I say the same thing. Yeah, $79 to get started with Wodify. And my gym is doing it. So the issue that I have, that a lot of gyms have, is that you have your website, people come to the website, then you might have a different gym software. So to make the leap from like their, initial contact form being filled out to them coming into the gym and doing a trial class, like if you don't have something or a software that makes that easy, makes that transition easy, makes it easy for you to keep in contact with that lead, make sure they came into the class or the meeting and you can follow back up with them, then you end up losing a lot of people, just slip through the cracks. And so we're changing it at my gym with Wodify, and I'll be giving updates on like how that switch is going. So it'll be pretty cool because I'm excited about this, because we'll be making a whole entire kind of series about it. Hold on, I'm getting a text here from our special guest. Okay, all right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We're at about 80% chance of it happening now. And the ability to keep contact with the members of the gym, like if they check in for their 30th class and it automatically sends them a little text and it says something to the coach that's in the class, you can start to celebrate those wins with your members, and like gamifying your attendance and different things like that keeps people motivated. If you think about karate or anything in the martial arts, you get like the belt color and the stripes and everything else, and that keeps people like super engaged because they feel like they're continuously making progress, and they get to see the results of some of their success and their work. And so Wodify makes that super easy with all the members of the gym. And like I was saying earlier, it makes it really easy for you to keep in contact with the people that are coming in to try out your gym. So it'll increase retention. It'll increase your ability to bring people in. And I'm super excited to share with you guys like how it works with my gym and like switching it over and all of that. We'll be making out some cool content. So the code for it is, fuck, it's mirrored the wrong way. There it is. That thing. If you do that, it'll send you to the landing page. That's the $79 deal. Go check it out. All right, so we got the tea going. Now it seems super cheese dick to say this because everybody that goes to Mayhem says it. They go, well, when you first get there, they really bring you in and you feel like family. And the crazy thing is that's 100% true. That was the exact experience I have. Like a lot of times flying to the East Coast from the West Coast, and if you guys travel, you know this. Like chances are you get in relatively late due to the flight. Everything up. Oh, thank you, Sabir. Yes, pinky's up when I'm drinking the tea. And usually you're like checking into the Airbnb or the hotel, you're like hungry, trying to get to the whatever the case is, and you're just kind of there and you just show up at the event. Well, before I even like landed, I was getting texts from people from the Mayhem Camp, like, hey, let me know when you're here. Do you want any dinner? Where are you staying at? What time? Like, maybe here at the gym at this. It opens at this time. If you guys want some coffee, come here. The experience was incredible. It was second to none. And personally, walking around in Mayhem, and I'm going to relate this to Crash because when we went and live streamed that, I had the same exact feeling at Crash that I had at the Mayhem Classic. And to me, it's the future of the sport. The only difference, in my opinion, from what was going on over at Crash and what was in that, and last week that happens at CrossFit Mayhem, was just obviously Mayhem is a much bigger gym, and it was a qualifying games event. So you had, I don't even want to say like a higher level of talent because a lot of the people that competed at Mayhem also competed at Crash. But that was pretty much it. It was a bigger venue, and it was a qualifying spot. So like it could be done at all different scales. And you imagine rather than having a semifinal where you have to get this big venue and you got to dump a bunch of money into this, if you just had a whole entire thing like, hey, if you own a gym that matches these qualifications and you're in these areas here, like reach out, we're going to do a vetting process, and then we'll hold on. I got to address this. I was talking about stuff on this. Everyone knows Beyond the Wire. Motherfucker, do you want the show to stay on? God damn, we get sponsors. You like our sponsors. No, the other man. Jeez Louise. God. Like, hey, this coffee is the best coffee. They paid us so we could keep doing the show for you guys. Well, this coffee's better. Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise. Ignore me, bro. No. Fuck that. Get on the hype, people. You with us or against us? Okay, that was way too aggressive for that TG3. I love you, actually. I was just making a point. Jose V, dude, it was great to meet you. And I'll get back on track with the future of the sport soon. But it was great to meet you. And one of the coolest things I thought was the fact that you walked up, I shook his hand, Dan. Hey, Daniel. And the first thing he says is like, dude, thank you so much. That meant the world to me to be able to be a part of that affiliate contest. And when I won, check it out. This is what I invested in. And he had a dope camera and lens and stuff like that. I think it's so cool because being able to reinvest back in yourself like that, it's tough because you could just put that money somewhere else or who, but he made the leap, bought some more equipment. I love that. TG3, one love. Yeah, love you too, dude. Me too. I spend the amount of mortgage on Paper Street Coffee, Susan. That's good. You can send it directly to me next time if you want. You won't get any coffee, but you'll know in your heart you supported a good dude. Oh, yes. Keeping it real. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We'll see if the special guest wants to swerve into that lane. So, anyways. Okay, what's that? Oh, Jonathan's getting jealous. Damn, suck him off. Why don't you, Souza? Oh, don't get jealous, boy. Don't get jealous. It's okay. And when you look at the people that were at Mayhem, it was like you had a ton of the spectators. You had all the friends and family. You had like the whole crew there. I would probably say there was like, in passing of the weekend, and we'll talk to the guest about this, is like, man, maybe like 1,000 people trampled through that place. But they had it set up. They had it set up great. It was super easy from the viewing standpoint. It wasn't really overwhelmed with vendors or anything like that, which was kind of cool. Just it's just mostly about the competition. Although I imagine, especially if the weather were a little bit different, they have a big like parking lot back area, so you could probably fill that with a massive like vendor village if they really wanted to lean into that next time. What's special about your special guest? I don't know. You will be the judge of that, Adam. You be the judge of that. It's Hiller, so he's special ed. And so the Mayhem crew and the team there, like you would have thought that they were running stuff like this all along. Like you would have thought that like this is what they do as a full-time job, just with the the way that communication flowed from my end, like getting the media pass to being able to go into the different places and be told, where to go and how the whole thing flowed was like, it was excellent. It was really good. The streaming looked awesome from the little bit that I caught on the flight home, because I ended up leaving on yesterday about midway through the day. The broadcast sounded great. Sean, Angelo, and Rich all seemed really solid on the broadcast. It was cool to hear like the stories and stuff back and forth, and that's the type of flavor that I like. Obviously, like we have like John Young, we bring in like Bill, we have like Sevon, so you get this kind of cross between like a podcast, inside information, and then you have somebody there that's kind of keeping it on track and keeping you involved with the competition at the same time, so the train doesn't go too far off the tracks. Jenny, got to hang with Jenny. Hopefully that mic and that little handheld thing at some point, you could start playing around with that. That comes in handy. Top tier, everything at Mayhem, so incredible. Absolutely. People are super kind there, super kind there. There was something else I was gonna. Why doesn't Froning buy CrossFit? I mean, here's the thing too. If you think about it, right, like that reminds me of the coaching. I'm the head coach at the gym, and I think my next ascension is owning the gym. And I think that's kind of like a little bit what the situation with Rich in CrossFit is like, because it's like he has an incredible team there, an incredible team at Mayhem. But does he want to build that team and do that at a level as such with like CrossFit and be on that global stage like that all the time as a CEO for that company? I don't know. I definitely think he could be a good fit. And I was joking around with like Facundo and stuff, because I was like, I don't know, man. He's been reading a lot of those autobiography on presidents and stuff like that. Is he gearing himself up for it? I don't know. But I wonder if it's like that. By the way, Gabe, I don't disagree with that sentiment at all. I think that, and I was talking to Darren Hunsucker, and I said what's really cool about Mayhem, and if you guys watch a lot of the stuff that they put out, they have kind of like the 4 pillars, and I'll probably screw it up, but it's like faith, family, fitness, and like service or something. And the cool thing is like it's not. I didn't see it as like a slogan on their wall. In like the corporate, you go to some corporate place and they have those whatever the writing on the wall, like these are the values that we stand by. No, you don't. No, you don't. It was the opposite. It was like you go into Mayhem. I didn't see it on the wall, but it. I was able to say it back to you guys because I watched the videos and were involved with them, and they act accordingly. Like they behave in the way that they say they do. And sometimes even if you don't like what they're going to hear or what you're going to hear, they'll still give it to you straight, which is a breath of fresh air at this day and age. Because like I started with that clip from Robert Greene, it's like most people aren't even aware of why they're choosing or doing the actions that they're doing. So to have a group or people like that or like that, it's awesome, because they're like, hey, this is what we do and this is how we behave and this is what we stand by. So Jonathan, faith, family, fitness, and service. Yeah, so I got it right. I hope. Or we both got it wrong, and then I'm going to blame you, Jonathan. So, there was something else. Who else? Rich Froning for Congress. Yeah, that would be interesting, right? No, Trish, CrossFit is a bad investment. You're right. If you're trying to invest to like make your money back, yeah, that might. There's lots of other things to invest in that would probably be a heck of a lot easier, way less of a headache, and would give you much more of a return. Would you buy it? I would buy it. Yeah, if I had the money, right? But that's easy for me to say because I'm only $400 million short. But yeah, I would buy it. I would buy it. I would love to be able to have enough cash. And I wouldn't even need CrossFit to do this, but I would love to be able to have enough cash just to build out the team and pay them so I could have 100% of their time. And I already have majority of the people. I just don't have the resources to guarantee them to say, hey, quit your job or whatever, and let's do this full time. Not yet, at least. So, Bernie, what's up, dude? Did they try to baptize you? No, they didn't. I would have let him for sure, though. I'll tell you that. That great question, Bernie. What are the pillars of the Sevon podcast? Well, let's try this. This is going to be something new here. I'm gonna attempt, and it'll probably get screwed up. I'm gonna connect us to the Roadcaster, and let's see. Here's the number. I want you guys, if anybody wants to test this, call in. Let me see. Hold on. Connect. Okay. I think we're connected. Call in and tell us, what are the pillars of the Sevon podcast? Let's make 3 of them. That's it. Souza would buy it 0 down, 0 interest. It'd have to be a cash deal. It'd have to be a cash deal. How much do you think the bid is going for CrossFit minimum? Great question, Gabe. I think they bought it for 200 million. Ideally, like they like to get like a 3x multiple. I think private equity is kind of like, that's kind of the minimum. I don't know if they're gonna get 3x multiple off 200 million. It'd be worth 600 million. That would seem like a lot. So I think minimum, I don't know. I think minimum it's like worth whatever it is at the top line. So maybe like 100 million, 50 million. But there's a lot of potential with it, and a lot of times the investment groups or private equity will consider that as well too. And in the right hands, it could definitely be worth a hell of a lot more than it currently is. But it's going to take a lot of is that up all the way? It's going to take a lot of work to get it back on track, and you're going to have to be able to weather the storm for sure. For sure. You guys have to call in. You can't put them in the comments. Come on, don't be afraid. Test it. And someone's going to say, I'm at work. And then I'm going to say, okay, fine. But still, you should call in. No way they're getting 600 mil for this turd. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Because think about it. I mean, it's already a global brand that's completely established. It does have revenue lines. It has a sport. It has a lot of really active people within the community. So I don't know. I agree with you. I wouldn't buy it for 600 million. But they could try it. They could try it. Harvest CrossFit, I'm at work. Okay, hold on.
Unknown caller.
Perfect. Here we go. Let's see. Hold on. Oh man. Isn't that amazing? Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Hey Matt, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. This call quality in this sounds better than it ever has. This is good.
I know, that's amazing, right? It did the like that thing, and I was like, oh crap. But the second I turned up the Bluetooth a little bit, it went well. So awesome. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Southern California.
Awesome. Just down the road from me. So do you have the pillars of the Sevon podcast, or were you just testing the phone for me?
I think so. I would say it's number 1, friends, then fitness, then fun.
Friends, fitness, and fun. Okay, I like this. Hold on, let me write it down. Friends.
And then just one other comment for you regarding
4 Fs.
What the current owners might be seeking as far as the financial impact of the deal. So when they look at the MOIC number, they're actually only factoring in their amount of invested capital. So if they took any debt on the deal, that gets factored out. So if they buy CrossFit for $200 million,
Mm-hmm.
they put in 100 million, they leverage the other 100 via a debt vehicle. They don't factor that in. This is another game that private equity plays. So they might only be looking for a $300 million buyer, not a $600 million buyer.
Oh, I see. So you're saying, like, even though we're looking at a $200 million deal, and I'm kind of saying they want multiples of that, you're basically saying no, not necessarily, because debt was included in that. So if you pull that out, that maybe cuts it in half, and then therefore cuts that price in half that they might want.
Correct. And sometimes they really can debt up a deal, again, to make it look really good for themselves internally, and having a high MOIC calculation. They'll eat a little bit on the interest side, because again, for them, making these deals and running a string of them together and having high MOICs and high time in or low time in versus that money being out, that gives them bigger opportunities, right, and more equity in future deals to do. So for them, it's almost like having a faster Fran time. Oh, this MOIC was 3 versus 4. And then if you really peel back into the math, how much did you actually make off it once you counted all the fees and things like that? So definitely a different way to think about it than you and I would as typical entrepreneurs or business people, where, how much cash is going out the door versus what you're bringing in. They have a completely different game that they play by.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a great insight too, because you're right. That's like the way that I would look at it, right? You bought it for $10. I want to sell it for 20 so I could make 10. But you're saying that, like, due to the debt, leveraging those things, looking at equity, looking at the whole entire picture of Berkshire and their portfolio, that might not necessarily be the case. They might have other advantages another way, which would change the pricing.
Right. And for them, how long have they owned it? Since 21?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember if it was like right at the end of that of 2020 or 21, but yeah, let's just call it 21. So 4 years.
So 4 years, they exit with like a 2.5, 3 MOIC. That's a slam dunk for them. They'll be heroes. So we might view it as like a bad holding period, just because, again, from a customer standpoint and kind of what it did to the brand that we knew, it wasn't the best. But for them internally, from just a financial transaction, this has been awesome.
Wow, that's a very interesting insight. And what was that? What's the term you're using there? The MOIC? What is that?
So it's called multiple on invested capital.
Mm-hmm.
So they either use that, or like other times it'll be like a return on invested capital.
Mm. Okay, that makes sense. So that's why you're saying the second one factors in all the debt and the equity and everything else, not just the cash on cash return.
Correct. And when they talk about multiples in PE, when they're exiting deals, they're referring to the multiple on the MOIC, because that's one of their big three calculations. The other one is, again, a holding time versus, return. So again, that's where the denominator on that equation is the number of years or months that they actually hold an investment. So the lower that number is, the better that calc is for them as well.
Very interesting. Okay, well, my special guest just got here, so thank you for calling in, breaking the ice. You got the calls going. I appreciate it, and thanks for the insight on the pricing there. That's really good. We'll dig into that on future episodes too.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate your shows. Thanks for what you do.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay, no more calls. Turn that all the way down. That's what happens when you don't have the phone. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. See, you thought I was making shit up. No, here's my special guest. Boom. What's up, man?
This is awkward. Give me 3 seconds and I'll be right back.
Okay.
I didn't want you to answer a call and me not be here. So hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
All right. And special guest is gone. That was it. That's all I could afford him for. It was 4 lines. That was it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. We had Rich Froning, and we're out. What happened? Try calling, but Susan hung up on me. No, multiple people tried calling at the same time. Same Daniel. What a douche canoe. No, relax, guys. We'll get the call line going here again in just a second. I think it was because a bunch of people came in at one time, and we'll get that rolling. All right, here we go.
Hey, I'll hop on the call. I'll start taking pictures. So,
how is the place right now? Is it all back to normal? Is it just whole?
We got it pretty much back to normal last night. Well, we got all the stuff out last night, and then now trucks are starting to come back in with equipment. We had all the machines and stuff, so they could start doing classes this morning, and open gym mainly today, but still got people working out.
Yeah, that's incredible. Hey man, I gotta thank you for all the hospitality. I was saying at the show and stuff earlier, I was like, it sounds kind of cheesy because everybody goes to Mayhem and they go, oh, you're so welcomed, and they treat you like family and all this, but that's actually spot on.
Man, it was a good time. We had it just felt like it should, right? Yeah, I think that's why it's just CrossFit so special, is because, obviously we've met 2 or 3 times, but you feel like you know each other, and we all have this common bond. And man, it feels so cliche, like you're saying, to talk about the community all the time, but this is awesome. And so I felt like this weekend was just like a big kind of family meeting, and we got to hang out and watch athletes do some incredible things. And it was a good time. Bunch of side shows going on, but also the main show. And man, it felt like exactly what it's supposed to be.
It did. I was saying earlier, we went over to JR's for Crash last year, and we were streaming that, and the level of competition was starting to rise over there, and more spectators were starting to come in. And I was thinking to myself, like, this really feels like the future of CrossFit. And then obviously this weekend at Mayhem, it was just like 100%, this is it. You
Yeah, it was
run these qualifiers out of these gyms like this, and it seems like that's the path to qualifying in meshing the community and the sport into one.
Yeah, I think it's it's tough. Obviously, we've got an incredible facility. Well, so many hands. Like, we kept it once again cliche, but our members pitched in. Like, you saw all those people in white shirts. Those were mostly our members and just volunteers and people that were just here and wanted to be a part of it. Running classes in the mornings, a little bit later start time, especially on Saturday. And so, we were like, all right, how we got to fill the time? We don't want people just come in here and be like, oh man, I was only there for 5 hours. So we ran, 4 or 5 classes throughout the day, and then just letting people come in. And man, it was a ton of fun. The one thing, wish we would have had like a little elevated platform for people to like stand in front, stand behind. You wanted people in with the vendors and do that type of stuff too, because you want to make it worth their time. But man, other than that, it was awesome. Athletes put on an incredible show. Weather held off. It was hot on Saturday, but at least it didn't rain. And then today it's been raining the last basically 2 days, so we got lucky on that. But
yeah, super lucky, especially that first day with the running workout, and then that rain came in right at the end, right?
Well, yeah, you were looking at like the weather, the week out, and it's like, oh, it's gonna rain 100%, and then it would go to like 3% the next day, and then the next day it was 75%. And we were like, all right, shit, let's see what happens. So we held the runners just in case, but it was last ditch effort. We didn't want people just sitting here watching people run on runners. So
yeah, that event was awesome, because you're right, when they get outside and they get running and you see them passing each other and jockeying for that position, or the pack that comes out too hot,
That one was surprisingly fun to watch and call. Like, I didn't expect for it to be fun. I was like, man, I hate these events. They're boring to watch. You always put them first because, spectators, most of the times it's on a Friday, and, it's not spectator friendly anyway. But man,
right.
The only thing, I wish we had a Jumbotron or something in here for people to kind of see what was going on, because it was cool to see. And you could see jockeying for position and all that. So, man, that was a surprise, cool event to watch. And man, those, once again, it comes back to how good the athletes were and what a show they put on, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was. That, you're right. Both exciting finishes in the final male and female heat in that first event, just to kick it off. It was great. How was broadcasting for you? I was listening to as little as I could, like or as much as I could on the way back home on the flight, but internet on the flight's choppy. But you guys sounded good.
Man, it was a ton of fun. I think having Sean in there he's a true professional. I mean, he's the voice, right? Like everybody knows Sean's voice, and he's just it was awesome. Just to listen to him, and him basically keep me and Angelo in check, because we get off on our tangents and start talking trash about our boys, and that was the most fun part, is just dogging on everybody that we know that we're good friends with. And and then honestly, I was most surprised with how professional Angelo was. Man, Angelo was he took that serious, and there'd be times where I'm like, I don't know this person that well. Angelo would just spout off these crazy statistics, or that he'd talk to them and how they were feeling, and I was like, my man. So I was, Angelo's little brother, so you don't expect much out of little brother, but man, I think he was kind of the, he did the best on out of us too. And so, having Sean up there, and then just me and Angelo just, going back and forth. I was surprised at how much fun I had.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. And so I have to ask you, as far as athletes and stuff, any surprises out there on the floor for you?
No, man, I think Hatfield just crushed it. I knew Colton was going to have some, just animosity and just anger from last year, and some vengeance ready. So I was excited to see that. Excited to see the show that they put on. On the girls' side, man, Fee was just so impressive to watch all weekend. Especially on that first event, you were like, all right, you expect her to do well on that. And then even when she came out on event event 4. With the GHD and the lunge, and you're like, oh, this is the one that's going to get her. All right, we were waiting for this. And she started out just kind of methodical and had a plan, and that plan worked, and she was right there at the end, and it was awesome to see, and just super proud of her, and she's just so happy, and contagious happiness. It's awesome to see, and so I think we're good. I think the crop of athletes coming up, and if we can just mesh this thing back together, and and get them involved. And so it was fun. We were joking this morning, speaking of fish, she's walking up. And so they, it was fun. It was just cool to see, at times it's hard for me. You can hop in, Scott. Speaking of douchebags.
There's a man. What's up?
How's it going? And so, yeah, it was awesome. So I'm excited, and just try to keep the momentum going. Hoping, it's going to be hard, obviously, for some of these other semifinals to keep the momentum going. With a stream is expensive.
Oh.
There's no
Yep.
money to be made this weekend, which I'm fine with. Like it was more of like a passion project. I was like, hey, let's just not lose money on this thing, and put on a good show, do kind of a community event, and then hell, I guess technically we're in 6K in the red because I at the last minute was like, hey, let's give them 6K, and Rory's like, well, that comes out of your pocket. So I'm like, fine. I want to see a show. And then turns out we didn't even need to do that because the standings were so damn tight. So, here's what it is.
Here's what it is, but they got paid. Would you do it again? And I know
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Heck yeah. You got to dangle that carrot, man. It was, that was such a cool event to watch, and cool event, obviously Roman coming out 30 seconds, 30 calories was super impressive, which I knew he'd do really well at.
Yeah.
The look on Hopper's face, that they probably didn't get it on camera when Roman hopped off the bike. It was like sheer, like what the hell just happened? It was so awesome to see. I wish other people could have seen it.
Yeah.
Because it blew my mind. And then to see just how tight the girls' event was. I think Scott said if Fee had finished 0.6 seconds slower on that workout, she'd have been like third or fourth and wouldn't even qualified. And she ended up winning because of 0.6. Like it's, the math on that, it was, I was really excited how each event, you just don't know. Like you look at an event and you look at, the big thing. I geek out on programming.
Yep.
Me and Angelo put a ton of time into them, and just like trying to think through, and, you wanted to kind of have this story of the history and bring it modern, but also put on a good show and keep it interesting. And, there was different ideas of, and man, I could go into hours of how we, just sat there and then, all right, hey, we should add another event. And then it just felt like adding another event was just because, and so we were like, all right, I think it's good. And then to see it all play out, you're like, there was nothing that I've, obviously you could like nitpick and we could get super critical about it, but to put on a good show, we did that. I feel like like we got the most well-rounded athletes in there, and we've got some good representatives going from the Mayhem Classic to the game. So I think all things were we checked every box.
You checked all the boxes 100%. And like each event, like you said, it tells a story. And I don't think people realize like how hard that is to do. When you're looking at the workout, you're putting it on paper, the level of talent that's going to be there. So you're trying to find like, okay, will this be the hang up? Are we going to see somebody have to break here? Like what's the length on a handstand walk where they could almost have a race, but at the same, right? So you kind of going back and forth in it. And I think it played out perfectly. I mean, it kicked off right away with that first event, like we already said.
Yeah,
so
I was surprised. That one, I was like, all right, hey, the rest of the events are cool. This one kind of sucked, and so to see that one turned out cool was like, all right, hey, we're in for a show, so yeah, I think it's just a battle, and the hard part was like, all right, hey, we want to keep everybody entertained from the minute we start. So trying to condense that schedule. I know it was hard on the athletes, and at first they were grumbling, oh, only 5 events. But then after day one, they were like, all right, maybe 5 events is okay, So it was
that
it was
turnaround.
fun.
Yeah, that turnaround from that first event to the heavy Isabel, you could tell all of them, they were feeling it in the legs a little bit, and there was like, oh, that makes a difference.
Which is an endurance test in itself,
That's right.
The knock on CrossFit is, oh, it's not an endurance test. I'm like, all right, well, you come in here and work out for 3 or 4 hours and do 3 or 4 events. Tell me it's not an endurance, cooling up or cooling down, warming up, work, So it was cool to see. It reminded me of how I used to feel during the Invitational. When we would do the Invitational, you were just, by the end of it, you're just hanging on. And so it was cool. It was awesome.
Now we'll go the other way with it. How did Rich feel about Kale's performance?
Hey, I mean, yeah, I don't know. He was out there every event, and I'm not gonna We'll let the internet handle that one. That's their job, right?
Yeah, Hiller's on it. Don't worry.
You know, so I don't want to pile on.
Hey, so I gotta ask, when you met Taylor Self, we do the Kill Taylor, were you tripping on him at all? I mean, you know how he gets on the internet here with us and everything else,
man,
and like
I
you know,
met
were you worried about
Taylor.
that?
I met Taylor last year at Syndicate, and man, it's funny. It's you know, it's not my style, but I feel like it's needed in some situations where somebody's just gonna go unfiltered and say their thing. So man, you know, luckily I come in contact with so many different people that nobody really surprises me these days. So it's he was a good dude to have around. Same as he is, you know, when you see him on videos or on the internet. And, I mean,
Yeah.
heck yeah, like somebody's got to say some of the stuff. It's the deal is like a lot of people are thinking some of the stuff that he says, but he just, you know, puts it into words and a little bit more boisterous about it.
Yeah, he's got a lot of flavor he adds to it, right? He puts a
Yeah,
little seasoning on
it's
it.
that ginger in him, you know.
He can't help it. So okay, last question. Thanks for hopping on and do this real quick.
Yeah.
But man, everybody's asking. So I always say this, like, you get somebody who's a head coach at a gym, gun ho, and they always go, my next level of ascension is I want to own a gym. And what I always say is, like, half the time you go from like doing your passion coaching, get in front, to now you own a business. And it's like, how to not coach anymore is to own a business. So the question everybody keeps asking, or keeps the comment that everybody keeps saying is like, we want Rich to buy CrossFit. We want Rich to be CEO of CrossFit.
I just lost $6,000, so I'm out. You know, like I don't have enough money to buy CrossFit.
That was it. That was the differentiator.
That was my offer. That's all I had. You know, like I don't have any left.
All right, I'll do you what? I'll sell my Civic. We'll sell Sevon's minivan.
All right.
And it will go in with it on you.
I can throw in a 2002 GMC Sonoma that I use at the farm to like throw in some stuff. So we might be able to get. It's got a rebuilt title on it though, so maybe $3,000 out of that one. So I think with our $9,000 will be good.
We're getting there.
I mean, you know, I would love if I could call the shots. Heck yeah, you know, like we'll see. Hopefully, whoever comes in and buys this thing, or whoever, you know, I don't know what's going on. But hopefully, at least I can have some type of voice and be a part of that, because, you know, up until this point, I've never had any influence whatsoever on HQ.
But on the community.
On the community. Yeah. No, man. Here's the deal: is I think we all have a similar feel, and I think it's just somebody that needs to have a pulse on what's going on and actually listen and, like, you know, be in the community. You know, it's just it seems like simple things, but turns out it's not. So we'll see.
Right. Okay, so you're not so somebody bought it. Let's say I buy it. I won the lotto, right? I'm gonna play maybe. And I go, okay, cool. First person I call is Rich, and I go, hey man, what do you think? You gonna be CEO of this? Would you consider that job?
As long as there's no conflict here with Mayhem, or a conflict of interest, or I don't ever want there to be like, oh well, Rich is only doing it so he can further Mayhem, or obviously I want this thing to succeed because of the people here. But I feel like, and I've said it multiple times on multiple things, that, you know, I can only impact so many people under the name Mayhem. You know, like what we're like, not limited scope, but we're like almost pigeonholed. You've got us, you've got Proven, you got HWPO, but there's something about that word CrossFit that somehow reaches across the aisle to the other sides, and we can all be better under it. And so, I mean, in a perfect world, absolutely. So we'll see. Who knows?
Awesome. Well, I'll definitely keep my fingers crossed. And hey, man, thank you so much for
appreciate you guys
for jumping on.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks for covering it, and having some fun. Looking forward to what you guys twist and do, and have fun with.
I'm gonna start to run my investigations here. So we'll see what happens.
I love it. I want to see the whiteboard when you're done. Red string everywhere.
Thanks, brother. Talk to you soon, man.
See you guys. Thank you.
Bye. All right, special guest. See, told you guys. Where's Gabe at? Fantastic political answers. He's definitely in the bid. He didn't say no. Right. Sevon, please don't listen to the community. Just run it using Froning values 100%. And I think that he will definitely do that. Roadcaster caller. Hello. Are you there?
It's Fergie.
Fergie, how you doing, sir?
Well, I got a hot take for you, bro.
Okay, give it to me.
This past weekend, Rich Froning saved CrossFit.
Rich Funny did what? What?
He saved CrossFit.
He saved CrossFit. Unpack.
Because we were
unpack
just
that.
kind of getting about out there with all this crazy talk, all these other things they were getting into, and it's like that was one of the best programmed, best run events that I've seen since 2019. And I will tell you right here and right now, the way those athletes were dying on the event, the fact that athletes didn't pull out because they didn't have a chance of winning, showed you the true spirit of CrossFit. And brother, that's what we need.
Yeah, you're right. That is pretty cool. It's funny that you mentioned about the dropping out too. Like if you're not in qualifications position, right? You're like, why go through more events and put myself through that? And we were wondering too. We were like, man, do you guys think anybody's going to drop out? And the fact that nobody did, to your point, Fergie, is like, yeah, that's awesome, right? And it showcased kind of the best of the community and kicking off the open at Mayhem and then kicking off these qualifying events at Mayhem. I think is awesome because it really does showcase it in the best light of where we could go. This light on.
And the last thing I'll add for you is, and you're an owner, so you can appreciate this, is everyone at that comp was invested in CrossFit. They were coaches, they were volunteers, they were owners. This wasn't a bunch of pampered athletes who live off of sponsorships. These were real CrossFit people.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. They're connected to the community and they want to see it survive. They're invested into the ecosystem, not just at the sport level, but all the way through and through.
Yeah, brother. Peace
awesome.
and love.
Hey, real quick for you before you go, you got any pillars for the Sevon podcast? 3 words.
Any what?
Pillars, 3 words. Like a values of the Sevon podcast. The last caller gave us friends, fitness, and fun.
Truth,
Ooh,
knowledge, and pain.
Pain. All right. Fergie, thank you, brother. Thanks for calling in, man. Have a great day.
Take care, bro.
Later. Oh, yeah. The realest of all was that dude, Kale. He was the only regular dude on the floor. Didn't he get 5th in the open, though? Isn't that like the deal right now? I felt disconnected because usually when I get onto a flight and I'm headed home and I could get Wi-Fi, like I start to dig through all the stuff. And because, when I'm at those events and stuff like that, I'm trying to be present. So I'm not really on my phone a ton unless I'm capturing, some footage of something or taking a few pictures or whatever. This event in particular, there was no job for me to do. Like we weren't streaming anything. And usually I'm wear a bunch of hats and I'm running all around all over the place. And so I haven't really looked into the 5th place thing yet. 5th in the open in 5 straight 20th places. What Tyler Watkins? Irreverence, truth, responsibility. I like the responsibility. Standy, you could call in. Daniel, you call in. I won't block your calls. I don't think he lied either. Oh, you don't think he lied? I'm gonna go and check it out. Here's the deal too. Like let's say he's been working really hard. I don't know the history on this person at all. So if you guys know, whatever. But let's just play with me with this scenario. So let's say he's been working super hard, and he does really well in the home term advantage. Maybe he had to do some of those open workouts like unknown 2 or 3 caller. Times. All right, another caller here. Who we got? Oh, with the beeping of the thing and the stuff. Okay, caller, hello.
What's up? It's Jethro.
Jethro, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. They did a good job, just like Fergie said. So I think we're going through a little process now, just like what's going on in America. Stuff like really, really down. We're seeing this in real time. I think we're going through the same exact thing. I think be going in a downward projection until you get it back up again. But stuff like this, just like Fergie's CrossFit, CrossFit Mayhem. There's also this happening, and as you can see, the media is actually turning around a little bit. I think you guys really, really poked the bear with your affiliate videos and just constant promotion of CrossFit channel. I remember like 2 years ago, you guys said it was Jeremy was like calling in or he's talking, and then you said it yourself. You're like, you're gonna want to be a part of this when we blow up. And it totally happened. Now look, just like JR said, and everyone, like, they're at the freaking barn working out, doing the freaking trailer.
Dude, that was
So I think
crazy, dude.
It's going back to like the community and then not corporate entity that wants like money. Of course, if private equity is going to buy it again or something like that, we're going to have to go through that again. But the private company that would buy like a beast something like that, I think would be in good hands. And if someone are rich and they keep Dave and Nicole and all the G's on, I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely showed like there was it's like light was breaking through the clouds, if you will, right? Like it seemed kind of gloomy, and like especially after the games this year, it was just like, holy smokes, how are we going to pull out of this tailspin? And then Rich and these guys step up, and it looks like there might be this potential buyer in place now. And so you're right. I think like we're seeing the light through the clouds, and it's cool because this community does awesome stuff, and it would just be a shame to not really see it through to its fullest potential.
100%. I got it. So hopefully we take care of everything.
Yeah.
Hopefully on the community side, and then they'll see it and they'll do the right thing.
100%. Any pillars? 3 words, 4 words for the Sev on podcast?
Go fuck yourself. With a period after the word.
Jethro, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right.
Later, bro. Go fuck yourself. Amazing. Has anybody else lost $6,000 this morning besides Rich Froning? I didn't realize I did. I'm just shy of it. Somebody mentioned the stock market, and I was like, oh no, I didn't want to look, and I looked, and yeah, that sucks. Oh well, it is what it is. Seven. Colton said something like Kale worked until caller. Hold on. Caller, hello. You're on the air.
So how's it going? It's Plumber.
What's up, dude? How are you?
Good, man. Good. Just woke up, drove back last night from Cookville. So
Awesome.
I got 3 pillars for you.
Hit me.
Transparency,
Okay.
personal accountability, and humor.
Humor. I like it.
Mhm.
I like it. Not bad. What made you think of those 3?
Well, one, Sevon is always harping on personal accountability and everything. Transparency, someone took truth, so I took the next closest word.
Nice.
And then I think humor kind of all ties it all together.
I think you nailed it. That's pretty good, man. We're getting some good stuff. This is awesome. Hey, you were at the Mayhem Classic.
Yep.
What was your role there?
Spectator, fan.
Nice. Just hanging, right? It was awesome, wasn't it?
It was sweet. Yeah, it was really cool. It was different because it felt a lot different than all the other, semifinals and big things where you stand in line and you're waiting and you got to find some seat. But like, it was just the condensed window was really nice because you're able to kind of do your thing in the morning or in the afternoon and just watch back-to-back fitness. It was cool.
Yeah, it was. Did you get a chance to do any of those spectator workouts while you were there?
Yeah, did both Saturday and Sunday.
Nice. That was awesome, wasn't it? The whole Mayhem crew out there leading those workouts and stuff like that. It was really cool.
I mean, Saturday Rich did, right? Like before Taylor, he did the work. So we signed up for the 8, but the 7 o'clock like Mayhem affiliate one. So he did that one workout. And then hopped in with our group and did the workout.
Yep.
And then like briefed basically the next group what the workout was, hung out with them for a little bit. And he's like, hey, I got to go off and do this Kill Taylor thing. And then he's doing that.
It was
After
crazy.
He did 120 toe to bar and like all. I'm like, what the? I'm looking at him and Kill Taylor. I'm like, how is he doing this right now? But it's just.
And all those GHDs right after all those toes to bar, like 2 hours earlier.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Nuts.
Yeah.
So did Saturday and that was nice and the weather was great. So it was outside. But then Sunday we showed up at 8 again and it was like pretty windy, cold. There was like the puddles were kind of like pushing into that outdoor like workout area.
Yeah.
And then Rich is like talking to us. It's like, oh, I just got word. Josh is going to be nice to us. He took pity on us. He's going to let us go in on the floor. So we got to do the spectator workout on the competition floor.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. See,
Yeah, it was cool.
that's the awesome part about like the people over at like Mayhem and stuff like they're agile. Like we saw the people in the white shirts, which were volunteers that were just like members of the gym that just wanted to come and help out. And like, I don't know about you, but like, I didn't have a bad experience with any of them. It's like, you go there and all of them are, saying hi. Oh, what'd you need? Oh, let me show you this over here. Oh, you have a question, whatever. And it's really cool because, they're just there on their own time doing it because they're passionate about it. They love their community. Right. So awesome.
Yeah. Like I felt rude at points, like trying to like, I'm walking to the bathroom and I start to speed up with the white shirt and they're like, oh, after you're good. I'm like, shit, am I the asshole right now?
Yeah, exactly.
So nice.
They're just so accommodating. Yeah, it's true. Well, it was great seeing you there, dude. Thank you. Thanks for calling in. Those pillars are pretty good. Transparency, personal responsibility, and humor. Thanks, brother.
Yep. See you, Susan. Have a good one.
Later. I like these pillars. I'll paint them on my wall behind. No, that'd be stupid. Grace would kill me. Can you imagine? Just painted. Okay, back to Kale. Somebody said they have to be. Somebody has to be 20th. So I imagine that he's at his gym. He's been training hard. He's doing the open. The thing with the open is like if he screws up in a workout and comes out too hot, you guys know this. Like you could just redo the workout. So you can redo it 2 or 3 times to adjust his strategy and get the best possible score. But when you're out on the competition floor, and forgive me, Kale, I haven't like heard of you before, but if you're out on the competition floor, and I imagine this is like one of his first times out there, and you're in CrossFit Mayhem, Rich is commentating on it. You have all these top tier athletes on the same floor as you that maybe he's never competed next to before. And you take all that into consideration, plus the fact that like there ain't no redo. So if he comes out too hot in one workout or wasn't as prepared as he thought he might be for something, it's like you could look really bad on that floor just because the talent level is so freaking good. And I was watching the first event a little bit with JR and Darren and stuff, and I was talking to both of them separately, but the conversation I had with JR is I was like, dude, I'm surprised at out of the 20 athletes that are competing here, the difference between those top like 5 or 7 and everybody else is massive. Like typically in like, let's just say like track field or something, for instance, where you have all the top tier athletes that are coming in, usually they're all within seconds of each other, right? In like a 15-minute race or something like that. It'll be like, few seconds, maybe a minute or two. But when you look at the difference of the field of athletes in that first event from like the top heats to even that second heat, there's like several minutes. And some of those athletes, you look at the competition floor and you're like, what's happening to them? Why are they moving so slow and everything else? And you realize, like, damn, the other people around them are just that much fitter. And it's not even the fact that they're not fit or they're not like, fully prepared. They're just not fit or fully prepared for that level yet. And it really is a crazy difference. And, everybody always says, oh, sucking Taylor's dick on Kill Taylor. And it's because like a lot of those Kill Taylor workouts, I think I streamed one of them a while back, but I'll go and do some of them at the gym or scale it or whatever. And having known the timestamps where he was and like watch him do the workout, it just like, it makes it look so easy. Then you go and try it and you're just like, what in the world? Like I can imagine doing all those toe to bar like Rich did in that Spectator workout. And then a couple hours later, just driving over to his house, kind of shook out his arms, did a few reps, and then just jumped in and did that next workout with a shitload of GHDs. And like, you wouldn't have even known that was his 3rd workout of the day. It's nuts. Nico, I believe the volume just crushed him. That could very well be too. Like even a lot of those athletes that were games athletes that were there, a lot of them were not prepared for that turnaround between event 1 and event 2. And when you look at them, you're like, okay, it's an aerobic event. You got the run, the burpee get overs, and then it's going to tax the legs quite a bit on the squats, especially the races that we saw at the end between like Fee and Emily and Colton and Austin and Hopper trying to finish up as quick as he can. Like that intensity level of them moving through those squats with that bag as fast as they do takes a lasting effect. And so I think a lot of them I think a lot of them were not prepared for that level of intensity and then that quick of a turnaround. Because usually you get a few hours, or like some of these competitions, like I remember at NorCal Classic, like we would show up with Taylor and Colton. They would get there, about an hour or so before, warm up, hit the workout. And as soon as they're done and everything's done, they're freaking out. They're like, all right, let's go back to the house and eat. So they did not have that much time with the other event here. All right, we got another caller here. They did not have that much time between events. Caller, hello, welcome to the show. Caller, this is your time to shine.
What's up, Sousa? It's Avery from Oregon.
Avery from Oregon, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm glad you said that you're Avery from Oregon, because there was a Katie, I think Miller, in the comments a minute ago that said she really liked my shows that I do. And I appreciate that,
Aw.
Katie. So Avery from Oregon, how are you this morning? What's up? How you doing?
I'm so good.
Awesome.
While we're on the topic of Kill, I just have so many thoughts.
Yeah.
So first, I must admit, right, he's my grid league team. Him, John, and I are on the same grid league team.
Okay. Give us the dirt. What's really going down?
Well, so I think there's three things. This is just like empirically speaking, right? This is not even from knowing personally. Okay.
Okay.
You have the underlying logic that the open is an accurate test of fitness, because everyone's argument is, you get fifth in the open and then you go out there and you dog shit. Like, okay, that assumes that the open was an accurate test of fitness.
Mm-hmm.
All of the same people who use the open as that benchmark agree the open was not an accurate test of fitness. You already got at the point that, right, someone could go redo the open workout 3 times.
Right.
So that's also, and those workouts are going to vacuum. Like, they could have rested, 2 days prior, done cold plunge,
Yep.
this and that, restarted the workout 5 times. They're in their home gym, accurate, or in the best, right, optimal environmental conditions. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing is cumulative fatigue. You even just one of those events, like Rich even just taught this, right? The cumulative fatigue on those events is fucking insane. Like, just doing event 1 and having to go do Heavy Isabel, you're already cooked. And have how many more? 3 more events the next day?
I could not imagine, like, the intensity of that first event and then watching them warm up with the barbell. I was just like, oh my goodness, this is nuts.
And then you're 5 feet tall on a 48-inch box.
Right.
Like, right?
Yep.
Last thing is the sport IQ. Like, this is the thing I think everyone's looking. Kale is 23. This is his 3rd year doing CrossFit. First year in the open, he's top 5,000. That's first year in the sport. Second year, he has a whole year to not only mature his body, but his sport IQ, right? That's learning how to strategize, learning how to pace, learning how to recover, learning about nutrition.
Yep.
7th in the open. Very similar workouts last year to this year. Has a very similar open performance this year. The kid is still 23 years in sport. Sport IQ is still super low. Like, I mean, Tom said it, right? And Colton said he had to work till like 4 a.m. the morning before. He had to work at 3 a.m. this morning. Like, 0 recovery.
No
None.
shit. So he got up today and went to work.
Pacing.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. He drove from Cookeville back to Missouri last night in the middle of the night. So just think about, like, the sport IQ is pretty much 0. No pacing, no strategy, trains alone in his garage most of the time, right? So just like putting these things out there, I think, it's easy for Hiller to be like, oh yeah, fuck this guy. Like, clearly this wasn't, accurate. Yeah, Hiller also, the open wasn't a fucking accurate test of fitness. So, like, you have to just think of all of these things, right? And I don't know. I feel like we're going to see in the online semifinal, he's going to have to post his videos. He's also going to syndicate. So I don't know. I think we'll all see, but just that's what I'm thinking about. It's like, those are all logical things.
Yeah.
Sport IQ, cumulative fatigue, open is a fucking shit test of fitness.
In the context on all of that matters a lot coming into this stuff. And like, you even nailed it with like the like competitive IQ. When you have everything in a perfect condition at your home gym, that's very different than having to drive to Cookeville. You don't have your food, maybe your sleep is off, not to mention like being just around that in that environment, and that level of talent is also just another thing that you have to kind of get used to and acclimate to. And so yeah, I think these are all really great points. Avery, do you have like do you do like a show or something? You talk well. You talk well. You're
Thanks,
good.
Sousa.
A good talker. Yeah. It was nice. No,
I
you
love it,
came.
dude.
Yeah, you came very direct with like those points, and I thought that all of them mattered. Although if Savan was on here, you're lucky because otherwise he would start arguing with you about the open because we're big
I would
open
love
fans.
to argue with Savan. Savan was just 15 minutes for me and did not come to my affiliate, and I'm very sad.
Oh no, that's okay. I mean, he was running and gunning with family, so don't take it personal. Between the shows and trying to
True.
keep up with families and dinners and everything else, it was tough for him. So, but yeah, thank you for that. That I think everything you said is fabulous points, and it makes sense. And I don't really think that anybody could dispute what you had said. And I think that those factors really do matter. You're not like, hey, you showed up and his shoelace came untied. It's like, well,
Right.
these things, driving, waking up at 4 a.m., coming into that environment, having to drive back, only being in CrossFit for 3 years. Yeah, all that stuff matters a lot.
For sure. But yeah, we'll see you in the online semifinal for sure.
Awesome. Amy, thank you for calling in. You should start a show or something. That'd be good. Speak well.
See you later.
Alrighty. Bye. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like as far as having context on the situation, and in Hiller's defense, my buddy Hiller's defense, I don't necessarily think it was like a FU. I think Hiller's standpoint was more or less like, let us just see the open workouts. He's like, I just want to see this guy do the open workouts. And to Avery's point, like she said, we're gonna see it in the online semifinal. He's got to post the video. So, hey, it's cool. I don't know. And if anything, too, Kale, buddy, use this to your advantage because right now we're all talking about it. And unfortunately, with the athletes and the size of this community and everything else, you got to be relevant to make any money, to have some attention, to get some sponsors. So just keep utilizing it to your advantage, Kale. Do not go the other way with it. Leverage it. All right. I'm glad we got some good. Man, we got a lot of calls in here, except for still no Daniel or Standy. I'll talk, but we got a couple of good pillars that we could put up, and they're all kind of circle around the same thing as far as the truth, knowledge, humor, like all of that type of stuff. Caller, hello, welcome to the show.
What's up, Susan? It's Grant.
Oh, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, good. Hey, I just wanted to chime in real quick because I saw the Hiller post as well, and there was some other things and some digging, not just the performance by Kale.
Mm-hmm.
And you would know this. I don't know what the rule is, but when you start looking around, things look really weird, right? So he's signed up at one affiliate the last 2 years and does the workouts at another affiliate in a different state, all 3 workouts with a judge that's not registered. They haven't taken the judge's course. They don't have the R next to their name. They're not registered, who doesn't appear to do CrossFit and has never done the open.
Mm-hmm.
And last year by a 19-year-old who was registered and done the open. And so my question for you was, what are the rules on what you have to have if you don't have video?
I think you had to have an affiliate owner essentially just give it the stamp of approval, wasn't it?
I don't know. That's what I was curious about. If you had to have a somebody who took the judge's course, or if you literally just have to have the sign off by the affiliate owner.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, and I probably should know, but I always thought it was just like 100% the affiliate manager had to sign off on it, because then that's the responsible person that, like, if something does come back and they're like, hey, Matt, you signed off on Grant's workouts, and it turned out he didn't even do the workouts. You just put in his scores and falsified them. Yeah. Then that would come back on me as the affiliate owner, and I think that there is a repercussion for that. Like, you can't sign up for the open, or there's a certain amount of banned time on it or something. So I do believe that. Now, the other thing too is if, like, let's play this scenario out. Let's say Kale completely faked all those workouts, right? Like, why in the world would he show up to that event? Like, he wouldn't. You know what I mean?
No,
he would have faked an injury.
I think he's an elite athlete.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
The question that people would have would be, here's the scenario, and I want to believe the guy completely, and I sort of do. I'm erring on the side of believing him. Yeah. But you almost think at that level, anybody in the top 100, especially the top 10, they're making backup videos. Now, if I were him at this point, I'd probably be a little bit scared to send it to Hiller at my age, just for like common no reps. And I kind of wish I made it clear, hey, I'm not looking like I'm not going to zoom in on your elbow lockout or something like that. I just want to see that you got the score you got, you know?
Right.
So I kind of wish he had done that, but I don't think there's any doubt that he's an elite athlete. I think if anybody had any question, did somebody who's really, really, really good do something to make themselves a little bit better to get into semifinals and then assume that they could keep up. I don't think that's the case, but I would say that's what people would probably be wondering.
Yeah, definitely. And I think too, like he will for sure have a chance to kind of clear that out. And like like Avery was saying, like when he posts the semifinal stuff, and plus too, like people are coming out like she just called and kind of gave so much context, and like all that stuff really matters a lot. So I think it'll be interesting. But I like I was saying, I just think Kale just needs to like leverage it to his advantage, right? If I had Hiller on me, the first thing I would do if I was Kale is I'd be like, yeah, Hiller, that's what you think. Why don't you come out and make a video on me? Here's my house, right? Yeah, and then just get yourself like, boom, he makes a video, and you just
and then like pick you could pick whichever open workout you thought you were the best at, and just do it fresh right there again or something.
Exactly.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Hey, dude. Speaking of which, I have to eat crow on what I said about you at the games last year, which you called me out on.
I can't believe you remember that.
And
that's so funny.
I did like a random live at like the house, I think on like my IG or something, and you had jumped in.
Yeah,
I
remember.
I was like, keep it real, you won't even be around in 3 months. And I saw you at the Warfare, and you're like, hey, what's up, man?
And I walked
Grant.
right up and I said it, didn't I?
That's right. And I think I said something like, well, we'll see about that. Like some smart ass response back.
No, you were nice at the lake. I mean, I kind of, obviously I'm a little bit hyper. I kind of came on the scene pretty bombastic and stuff. So I get it. It's like, who the freak is this guy? But I kind of learned it. Shoot, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Oh, you know what's funny? The reason I walked, I was respectful, but the reason I walked right up to you and said that, I kind of learned that from watching you guys. I'd heard a lot of like Sevon's and Hiller's interaction, like just call the person right away, or just, ask the question, say the thing that you don't want to say, the uncomfortable situation that you want to avoid. And I kind of, it's funny. I wondered if you remembered that, because I thought about that once or twice too.
Dude, dude, it was perfect, and the way you handled it was perfect, and even more so now that we're like, coming into a year later, and you've done nothing but just grow and grow. Congrats, dude. That's fucking awesome. I love it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just out here having fun, man.
Dude,
I enjoy watching you guys, everything you guys do. I learn a lot from you guys, but mainly I just love CrossFit, and I just like having fun. So
yeah, no, dude, you're killing it.
I better get back to work.
Keep up all the work, man. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for calling in, bro.
Cool.
All right, bye.
Later.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Caller, if you want to call in again here, it just beeps continuously on the line. And last time we had that, people were just like hating it. So I just moved the call. But the lines are open once again. Yeah, it was funny because that live that I did, I had said that, and like literally I'm like walking through the lake. We're trying to get to the warm-up area and stuff. And like Grant was just like, boom, like right there. And he's like, hey, what's up, dude? I'm Grant. You said this. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I kind of gave him like, all right, buddy, we'll see. And he's killing it. And I love that shit. Like when people kind of like throw something out there, and not like I was like doubting him or anything, but just kind of like, all right, yeah, we'll see about that, kid. And then a year later, you're like still growing, still killing it. That's awesome. Caller, hi. Caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey.
How you doing? Who's this? Where you call from?
Hey, this is Nate from up in Maine, listening to you doing a little remodeling, and it's freezing up here, but here we are. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Nate from Maine. What's going on, bro?
Oh, not much. I did have your 3 pillars.
Awesome. Fired off.
Stewardship.
Okay.
I was thinking like Lord of the Rings, right? I mean, stewardship is protecting the brand because it's super important, the message. So that would be the first. Second would be fellowship. I mean, as much as I love the word community and we just toss it around all the time, I was like, it's got to be something better than that. So put in the thesaurus fellowship.
Cool.
I feel like you guys bring that. And then I think last but not least, I don't know if it's actually it is. It would be storytelling.
Storytelling. I love that one.
Yeah.
Storytellers.
Yeah.
That's
storytellers.
good.
Yeah. You guys do it every time you jump on, and the guests you bring, and all you got. So those are my 3 pillars.
That's awesome. Nate, are you a religious man?
I do believe in God. Been in recovery 19 years, so I'm definitely, there is a higher power for sure.
Yeah, it was funny because Avery had said here, she said these sound like church pillars, and I was kind of thinking the same thing. But I like that. I like the stewardship. I like the fellowship because it's a little bit more direct in terms of the definition rather than just community, because that is like super vague. But you're right, stewardship, fellowship, those are much better words for it. It's awesome. And Avery also said happy 19 years, Nate. Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I've been blessed, and I found CrossFit like about 6 years ago in 2019 up here in Portland, Maine, and have been doing it ever since. So it's you know, I wish I'd found it sooner, especially since Savon and Greg used to come into my restaurant up in Prescott, Arizona, back in like 2007, and we're like talking, and lo and behold, I didn't even know, but I mean, I was literally waiting on them, and
No
Greg
shit.
was
Oh,
yeah.
that's incredible. So
Yeah.
did you wait on them like more than once, or was it like one time that they came in? Were they frequent? Did they frequent that restaurant at that time?
Well, Greg was in usually about twice a week, and he would bring, you know, his ex-wife and some family members, and I mean, he paid every time. It said Greg Glassman on the card. You'd run the card. You'd always leave like $50, sometimes 100. I mean, on a tip. It was just, you know, Greg was coming. We were so happy. We were like, yeah, I got him.
Yeah, that's
I'm
I was
gonna
gonna
take
say.
care of him.
Did people fight over it when they saw like his name come in
Oh,
or him walk in? Were like the servers and stuff all fighting over who had him?
Oh yeah, there was a huge fight, and it was like rock paper scissors, but yeah, he was a good guy, always nice to me. You know, and he'd bring in some athletes. I remember some jacked, I don't know who they were, and every time I think of it, I just remember like kind of maybe Hispanic, Latino, I'm not quite sure, but a male and female, and they were just like, they were like sculpted, you know, they look like
Yeah.
Greek gods and goddesses, and I was like, what are they? And I didn't know anything about CrossFit because, you know, smartphones hadn't even come out. You know, I mean, this was like back in like 2006 and 7, so you couldn't look things up. And so yeah, it was amazing. And that Savant, he came in one time with him. They both had like burgers, and I waited on him, and it was like right around like 1 o'clock, and I, you know, didn't know him either, so it was just kind of like, I don't know. I always think like I was there at the roots, even though I was like smoking a pack and a half a day and eating like shit. I was like, I was there.
That's incredible. What was the name of the restaurant?
It's called the Lone Spur Cafe.
Okay, the Lone Spur.
Yeah, right downtown Prescott, right on the square, and yeah, it was just a great place. It's where my wife and I met, and a lot of other good stuff. But anyway,
That's awesome.
That was our deal there. But a couple things. You had this show like a week or two ago, and you were talking about how the potential owner or the buyer was going to be at the Mayhem event this weekend. And I really didn't hear much talk about it or see any camera flashes to anything, but I was really just trying to, because I watched the whole, you know, every minute of it, and I was like, I wonder if we're gonna see anything or hear any talk, and I didn't. And then hearing the Rich thing that you had him on this morning and Mr. CEO, I was like, damn, everyone's just playing their cards close. So I guess the question is, was that person there? And I feel like, you know, what's the story about that?
Yes, Malik was there, and
okay.
I got to meet him, which is always funny when you do this full like investigation on somebody's stuff, and then you see him in person, and you're like, how are they going to take it? Are they pissed off about that, or did it go okay? But I will tell you this: in the short time that I spent with him, he was very like open and welcoming, and I told this to when I was talking to Sevon about it. It's like we have this you know, a mutual friend of ours that like is very like when you meet them, they're just kind of like warm, like they're like, yes, oh my gosh, like blah blah blah, and it's always kind of like you're 50-50 with it, because you're like, okay, is this an act or is this kind of like how you actually are? But I would say that it seemed very genuine. I didn't get much discussion with him because right when I got introduced and all that, it was a, hey, do you know who this is? This is the guy that did the investigation. And he looked at me and he goes, yes, I know who you are. Yes, I saw this. And then so I was kind of like, okay. And then right as I go to like ask him a question, he kind of does this like, nope. And he's like, we'll talk soon. We'll talk soon. Things are kind of in the works right now. And that was it. So I spoke with a lot of people that are close around him and as well. So it'll be interesting to say. And let's just say that I think within this next like two-week period, we might have some more updates on the situation. And I don't know, like good or bad. Like I'm not holding anything close that I'm not telling you guys. I'm literally saying like it's all kind of up in the air. I didn't get any further information, but I do know that we'll be relatively close to hearing the outcome of all of this speculation relatively soon.
Oh, that's great news. I mean, to even hear you'd say that, but for all of us like kind of normie CrossFitters who don't own a gym, who, aren't, I guess, higher level, let's say, and we're just like using CrossFit as our methodology. It just feels super fractured, lately, super, with all the other tour, happening, quote unquote,
right.
People leaving, just that feeling like, I feel, invested in the, brand, and it's really just saved me personally. And so to not have that like person, a steward, we'll say, at the top of the helm there, it just felt a little disjointed lately. So to see, what you guys were able to do this past weekend with the classic, to know that there was a person there who's kind of, got his finger, he's got to be, a steward himself. And then to just know like, oh, this is like gearing up right for game season and like really big announcements to happen, up in Albany. And so it feels, hearing that just feels great. And I'm sure it's going to give a lot of other, listeners and people in the community a sense of like, okay, like daddy's home.
Yeah, maybe a little hope, right? We could all use that. Well, that's awesome. Hey, Nate, thank you for the story. Thanks for calling in. And again, congratulations on 19 years, dude. That's really awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Suza. Thanks for having me on. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too, bro. Bye. Nice. That's cool. Man, I wonder if you had the whole entire Sevan, sorry, I just saw your text. How was the Kill Taylor experience? I know I should talk to that a little bit more. I was really tripping. I wanted to know if Rich what he thought about Taylor. Here's the thing too. Most people don't realize like when Taylor walks around those competitions and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm biased because I'm his buddy, but dude's a boss, man. Like people would think that you're gonna say this stuff on the internet and he would shy away from that, or he would be like, oh, there's so and so, and get like weird about it or whatever. No, dude. Taylor Beeline's right up. And I don't mean like in an aggressive way of like, hey, fuck you, not at all. Like he will come up and it's almost like he's much more, I don't want to use the word like softer, but he's like open more. And he's like, hey, how you doing? Like, I'm Taylor. And like some people, and I've been right next to him when they're like, you said this or you said that, and that was fucked up. And he kind of smiles and he's like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Like, please believe me. Like a lot of these times I get emotional and it just comes right out of my mouth. And even when I reflect on some things, I'm like, maybe it wasn't that as serious as, I made it seem to be or whatever. And a lot of the athletes there, I was standing next to him when a couple of them were like, hey dude, like, you're legit. Like, this is cool. Like I'm glad I got to meet you in person because, I hear some of the things or, people tell me things, and meeting you in person really changed my perspective. Because what a lot of people don't realize too is like, there's a lot of depth to Taylor. Like he's, there's a lot more with that. So don't just let kind of our, the mouths here overshadow too much of our impact and who he is as a person too, because it was pretty cool watching him navigate through all of that shit. It was awesome. Nate, why are you waiting for daddy? We're all waiting for daddy. Heidi, come on, don't you know this? Was the pizza place? No, Lone Spur Cafe. Lone Spur Cafe. Joe, did Sevan pay for every meal? Sevan has paid for every meal that I've been with him. I don't think I've ever paid for anything when I've hung out with Sevan. I've tried several times, but he usually doesn't let me. CrossFit, not every Maynard jumps ship to CrossFit. Not every Maynard changes their R's for H's. Okay, I missed that. I thought you were talking about jump ship or something. I don't know. That was a bad comment. So anyways, the whole entire thing at the Mayhem, as we said, was like, it was awesome. It really showcased the what we could do for the future. And we've talked about the digression almost. And like a lot of people think that it might be a step backwards to go from venues into gyms. And I don't think so. I think it's a step in the right direction. Like it has to be within the community, and it needs to stay that way and not go outside of it and try to make it bigger than it needs to be. Jonathan, what's up, man?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good, dude. What's going on?
Not much, man. Someone told me to call in because since I was at Mayhem. But I want to jump in the Taylor thing, man.
Yeah.
And Hiller.
Please.
Yeah. I have several people here like at my gym. They're like, "Do you know Hiller?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "What about Taylor?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know them. They're cool people." And they're like, "Yo, are they like really mean in person?" I'm like, "Fuck no, dude. They're like the nicest fucking people." And the thing about Taylor is he has an ability, and it's just like he's not aggressive, he's not angry, he's just he's a masculine dude, and he has accountability over himself. And when people come up to him and be like, "Yo, you said this shit and and that's wrong," he'll be like, "All right, cool. Then I was wrong," and he like just accepts it. Same thing with Hiller. He's like, "All right, you showed me that I'm wrong. You showed me facts. Then I'm wrong. Sorry." And they just accept that shit and then move on. And and Taylor just has fucking passion. He's not angry. He just has passion.
Yeah. I mean, he cares so deeply about CrossFit methodology, the future of it, the sports side of it, the affiliate side of it, opportunities for coaches. Yeah, he's very passionate about it.
Yeah, that's all he has, and he just has accountability over his actions when he tells you, like, "Yeah, dude, I fucked up and I said that shit when I was passionate about it.
Right.
And sorry."
Yeah.
So,
He has zero issue taking full responsibility for any of his actions. Like that is one thing he doesn't shy away from. He's not going to make an excuse. And like you said, if he gets called out and he was like, "Yeah, you're right. You know what? Maybe I should have done this or that." And at the same time, if he gets called out and he's very, firm on that belief, he'll change the tone, he'll soften it, but he's not going to just fold either. You know what I mean? Which is good.
yeah, no, he's not gonna fold under his belief. Like if he thinks he's right, he's gonna tell you why.
Yeah.
Until you prove him wrong, he's not gonna fold. And then I asked ChatGPT about fucking Saban podcast.
Amazing.
Pillars.
Okay. What did give us there?
All right. The 4 pillars of the Saban podcast, hosted by Saban Matosian himself, should focus on CrossFit, fitness, personal development, and community.
Okay.
Here's more. Here's a more detailed breakdown. He often discusses fucking CrossFit training competitions and the community surrounding the sport. Saban and his guests explore various aspects of fitness, including training methodology, nutrition, recovery, personal development. The podcast delves into topics related to mental toughness, goal setting, and achievement peak performance in all areas of his life. Community. Saban podcast emphasizes the importance of building and fostering a strong community, both within and outside of the CrossFit world. I actually dumped in all of the Instagram. I dumped in 2 Instagram posts you guys made into ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And an episode. I didn't ask that, so that's what I came out with.
Oh shit, that's hilarious.
That's what I was doing for like the past hour.
Little ChatGPT breakdown. Man.
Yeah, a little ChatGPT breakdown your pillars. There you go, man.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
It was
Thanks
good seeing you this weekend, man.
Yeah, great seeing you, bro. And we'll be talking soon. All right.
Yeah, brother.
All right, dude. Later.
Yeah.
Is Graciano, Taylor, and Hill are a cool in person, but Sousa's is a dick. Oh my goodness. Sousa knows how to use AI. I know. I've been really digging into a lot of the AI stuff. I should dump the Sevenistas chat and have it analyze that. Oh, yeah. I copy paste the whole entire thing into a doc and then upload it and then have it spit that out and say, what are the pillars of the Sevenistas? The Sevenistas. Standy, waste of water. Okay, fair enough. Liz Dizzle Dinger. Nice name change there. Did Danielle Brandon drop out of the competition because of Taylor? I'm sure it was going to be awkward for her to run into him. I would hope not. Like, it's really, even though the venue's relatively small, like if you wanted to just avoid somebody and not talk to them, there's plenty of ways that, especially if you're a coach or somebody there, plenty of ways that you could just kind of play interference and not have to deal with it. But something tells me that I don't really feel that Danielle is the type of person that would do that. I feel like if she seems to me, at least from the outside looking in, if that, like, if there was some sort of issue, if she had an issue with you and you were there in person, that she would maybe come over and just address it. I haven't spent a ton of time with her at all, so I don't know that for a fact, but it just kind of seems that way. But I don't know. No, I don't think that there was any dropping out because of that. Storm's got the answer. Storm Williams, dude, that's a good picture of you. Nice. Storm, I think speculation. Daniel Brandon has a knee injury. Ooh, interesting. I mean, if you think about the athletes having the ability to pick and choose their qualifying events, right? So it's like, if you have a whole bunch of them and I could do the online semifinal, I could, register to these events here, and you have, like, let's say like 4 different opportunities that you could qualify for the games through. And something like that does come up. Maybe let's say it's like a knee injury, but let's just say something's off, and that in order to give your best run in this year's season, you might need to take it easy at this time, or be a little bit more thoughtful about maybe pushing out that qualifying thing a little bit later in the season. Now, of course, you obviously have to be strategic about it, because you don't want to miss the opportunity. But that being said, like, the same thing kind of happened with Dallin, right? He was talking about the shoulder thing. Who knows what was going on with Brooke, but, like, in my opinion, if there was something that came up and I was coaching one of those athletes and we knew that, hey, if we go this weekend, you're not really going to be able to give that 100% that we know that we need to at this level of competition. But if we wait to syndicate, or we wait till NorCal, that's going to give us a whole other month. We could rehab back. We could look at who qualified here, who will be competing against at the next one. We could maybe look back at the history of the programming at that event, and you just have a lot more information and to take in to make the decision of, like, where you're going to go. So it wouldn't necessarily, like, surprise me if that just boiled down to that it was just like, hey, we have other opportunities. This is the very first one of the season. Let's go ahead and just shoot for one of the other ones out, so we could use this time to rehab, or whatever the case may be. Okay, let's look at some of these comments. Daniel Brandon was just squatting in her videos promoting WTF. Yeah, that's an obligation, though. That's a contract bound obligation. Oh wait, hold on, Kevin, sorry, you paid something. Live, laugh, love. The 3 pillars in every single suburban home in America is the live, laugh, love sign from the early 2000s. If you are a white woman suburban homeowner, you will have live, laugh, love. And a funny story about that, there was Jimmy Letchford has been on the show, worked for CrossFit in the past, and worked with GoRuck for a while. I think he was like the president of GoRuck for a few years or something. And we were at Greg's house, and Grace was there, my wife, and she was like chatting with him and like a bunch of the other group, and like found out that he was the GoRuck guy. And she laughs and she goes, "Oh, live, laugh, GoRuck." And like says it right to him. And he starts kind of laughing, and he's like, "Oh, it's kind of got a nice ring to that." And we thought it was hilarious. Grace and I thought it was hilarious. Anyhow, off in a tangent. I love Daniel Brandon. Maybe I should get a tooth bedazzled. Wow. Doesn't she have like a little rad flower that goes on her shoes, Standy? Maybe you could get like the DB Eve flower bedazzled in the old canine there, huh? Bedazzled. That's true about Souza. She's referring to Graciano's comment. That's not true. Only to Daniel Garrity. That's the only dude I've snuffed for a handshake, and I don't even remember. So that sucks. Don't speak to me before I have my coffee. That's true. She has a butterfly bedazzled on a tooth. Okay, that's fair. Had to be there for that story, Souza. Yeah, I know. I realized that, like, partly telling it. You know what, CrossFat? It was too late. I had to just fucking go with it. We had to stay with it. We had to just keep rolling. Souza, we should have gotten Rich talking about Sevon on video. That was good. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see some of the stuff. We had a creator following us, McKellar, that was out there shooting for Brian Spin. But Tyler Watkins and stuff had him shooting us, like Taylor, all through the Kill Taylor, like the behind the scenes, myself, Tyler, Spin, Bryson, like all of us. So he captured a ton of footage. One of the things that we did that was kind of fun, we'll see if it's usable, if it turns out. But McKellar, Spin, and Tyler and I went to dinner after the first event, and we just took one of those Osmos and we threw it up on the corner where we were eating dinner at, and we just dropped 2 mics on the table and just let it run the whole time while we had dinner and a conversation. And then it was really interesting because our waitress comes up and she's super nice, like kept coming up, like really accommodating. And then like the third time she comes up, she's like, all right, so I have to ask, like, what's up with the camera? And we explained it to her, and she goes, oh, that's funny. She goes, yeah, my parents had me start CrossFit when I was like 5. And she's given this whole like spiel, and we're like, wait, so do you go to like Mayhem? And she's like, no, since I started as a teenager, now I'm in college. She's like, I hate it because my parents love it so much and they made me do it. So it was pretty we have that on film. So I don't know, we'll see what happens if McKellar is able to do something with that. It'll be interesting. There was a lot of 9/11 conspiracy talk, though, because that's where that goes. Tell that story. I did, Joe. I told it. Heidi, Suze owes me a hug, to be honest. I could probably deliver on that. I'd rock a tooth for a weekend. I've always admired Nellie's grill. Madeline, please put in a grill and send me that photo. I cannot. Based off, it looks like you're on a sofa on a second story of like some sort of like maybe fancy winery or something in your photo with a very nice green dress on. It'd be pretty funny to see somebody like that with a grill in. That's why my daughter is a fan of jiu-jitsu. I didn't even force her to do it yet. LOL. Yeah, I know. That's the thing, right? It's like if you push the kids too much to do one thing, they just end up hating it. But I also think that it does come back around. And so who knows? We'll see if she still feels that way as she continues to get a little bit older. The waitress, that is. What was her? I still remember her name. Her name was Audrey. All right. I think we're just about done here. Jeremy, Madeline, you have my permission to culturally appropriate. That's hilarious. Nathan, Heidi, who doesn't want to wait for daddy, comfort and safety, rather than I'm going to grab a pack of smokes and never coming back. Mountaintop wedding. I'm a little hood, a little bougie. Okay. See, I knew it was some sort of fancy place. I reckon like that sofa was like too nice to be on just some random balcony. Either that or you were like super rich and you're like, no, that's our home in Aspen in the mountains. Should have been cool. I want a home in the Aspen. Jose, great seeing you. Sousa, dude, great seeing you. I was like, when we had chatted, that was right when Dave got there, and I was trying to get some Dave time, so I was just following him around like a little duckling for a while. So I'm sorry we didn't get more of a chance to talk, but I hope to see you soon again at one of the events. Really cool to just see you there with both those cameras and continue to invest in your passion and shoot stuff within the CrossFit community. If you get anything cool and you want to showcase it or whatever, like cool sizzle reel or something in your affiliate, always feel free. Like if you collab with me or collab with the Sevon Podcast Instagram, we'd be happy to promote that for you, dude. Nathan, are you asking Heidi out on a date? Win a date with Heidi. We could make that a thing. It would go over much better than it was with what's her face? Shit, why can't I remember her name? I remember her Instagram handle, but you guys know the whole we're gonna go away and do the kill Tony thing, and you want a date with her. Fuck, what was her name? I can't remember. Baby bye yeah. Is it Oh Baby Beast? Tits McGee? No, that wasn't her name. Let's do it. Heidi, you would never. Baby Beast. Yeah, that was her Instagram thing. There it is. Kaylee. Jeez Louise. How can I not remember that? Oh my gosh. Her name is Trainwreck. Jeremy. Don't act like you were trying to jump on that bad boy. Never have Baby Beast on the show again. Okay. I would never what, Heidi? You would really come on here and do like a dating show? There's like 3 of them going in the ecosystem now. Got like Cats from Clydesdale, Khalil, and then we have our own Heidi Crumb. And then you wear like the glasses that videotape, so then that way we could watch some behind the scenes stuff. Of course I would. Want a date with Tad Hamilton, but Heidi instead. Could be. It's got to be a Jesus dating show. I could dig that. I could dig a little Jesus dating show. Why not? Why not? Threesome date with me and my girlfriend. Rambler, you dog, you. Relax. Little Christian mingle. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mayhem was amazing. In conclusion, great stuff. I did get to meet Malik. I think, where was it? Kevin Doyle asked. He asked if there's going to be another show with Spin and I. Yes, there is. And who knows? Maybe this week, maybe next week. We shall find out. But you're damn right. We've been following that the CrossFit sales story. I've done the one show was like an update, so like 2 full shows on it, one kind of like update show. So we will for sure, obviously, follow the conclusion of that, whatever takes place. And I do think it'll be relatively soon, next couple of weeks here. If not, by like the end of May. Find me a hot Hyd Rocks doubles partner for December in Anaheim. Heidi does Hyd Rocks. Schedule it. So we go Heidi, Avery, Hyd Rocks partners, and then we'll find them as a double date. And then we'll find 2 dudes, and then you guys will Hyd Rocks it out together. Little Hyd Rocks and chill. You know what I mean? Earned your paycheck today, Caesar. Thank you. I'm going to go buy that new Civic that Christine is going to make fun of me about. Get like a once a month Civic making fun of posts sent to me from Christine. You guys want to hear a funny story about the Civic too? So there was a bunch of stuff going wrong with it, and so I took it down to the shop here, the mechanic, and I was asking him, I was like, "So what do you think? Like, should I put money into it, or at this point is it dead?" And he was like, "No, it still seems okay. You get some of this stuff fixed out here, and like it's ready to go. It'll rock for a while. There's nothing wrong with like the transmission or any of this major stuff." So I was like, "Okay." Anyhow, it ended up costing me close to like $3,000 when I got home. Grace was like, "Oh yeah, how'd everything go with the car?" I was like, "It's good." And she's like, "Okay, how much did it cost us?" And I was like, "It's $3,000." And she was like, "What? Why in the world would you put $3,000 into that car?" She's like, "Just buy a new one already." Oh my gosh. Because about maybe like a year ago, she definitely refused to drive in it with me anymore. It has no AC, it has no heating, it has no radio, it has no aux cord because that little thing died. So the only way you could listen to anything in the car is if you have headphones, or I'll angle my phone in the cup holder so that way it sounds a little louder. And then so all of that was still okay. But then the one thing that broke the bird, I was reading CrossFit's comment. The one thing that the straw that broke the camel's back was the passenger window not being able to roll down anymore. So once that happened, she was like, "All right, we're not doing that. Just drive my car." So that's what happened. That's when you sell the car. I know. I was thinking about doing that because I could take it down and kind of get it cleaned up a little bit. And somebody left like a note on the car the other day and was like, "Call me if you want to sell it," which is pretty funny. But I don't know. I would rather just, I don't know. You say you're good with money. That $3,000 was a bad investment. All right, let's talk about that. Okay, so here's the option, right? We got taxes coming up. There's a certain amount of money in the bank. I don't personally like to lease stuff out. So I'm not going to, or not lease, but I don't like to really have anything on debt. If I could avoid it, I avoid it. And the cash on hand to buy a brand new car is probably going to be between 19,000 and 25K or something like that. If I get like a new used Civic with like relatively like low miles on it or whatever. And so I could spend 3,000 now, probably get like a full another year out of that car, or I could dump the $23,000 into it and buy a new car, then sell that other one. The issue comes is like, then that's going to take a bunch of time to buy the car. It's going to have a bunch of other shit. taxes is coming right up, and I gotta fucking pay a big ass tax bill, which sucks, but it just is what it is. And so as I was like going through all the other stuff, it makes way more sense to just fix the problem, even though it's not like a terrible, there's nothing catastrophic wrong with the issue. It makes way more sense to fix a problem than have to go through that whole entire thing and like buy a new car. And a lot of people said, well, you could just put a down payment and then whatever, and go get financing for it. And I just don't want to do that. Like I'd rather just not carry any debt. And it's yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like it'd make way more sense. You're stuck with it now. You already spent $3,000. That's true. So buy a new car, happy wife, happy life. No, honestly, Rambler, what I'll most likely do is buy her a new car before I'd buy myself a new car. Thank you, Trish. Keep driving it. Riley, it is going to be a used car. I would only buy a used car. Why the fuck would anybody buy a new car? And the other thing too is that a lot of the newer cars now that are all like plastic and they have these like souped up electronics, like they're fucking up all the time. The mechanic that I go to literally was like, dude, majority of these cars that are coming in here now are all newer cars. So I definitely want to buy anything like brand new. Riley, Souza, you burned $3,000. Don't be stubborn. No, I'm going to be stubborn. You like how I tried to like justify it and didn't even really like pan out that well. It was just kind of like, how do you navigate knowing you'll eventually get a new car? So I use a method called profit first with how I do majority of my finances. And I will go to my bank and open up another checking account, and I will label that checking account new car. And then if there was like let's say I did finance it and there was going to be a $500 a month payment or something like that on it, I will continuously make that payment to myself in that other checking account and let that money continuously like just stack up. And so that way, if I have to get a new car and do have to make payments, I know that I can make those payments way ahead of time. And if I can't and something else comes up, I could just pull it from that checking account and it's still there. It's still at my disposal. And I've done that with everything with the gym. So let's say I want to buy 10 new ski ergs, open up a new checking account, call it ski ergs, and every single month dump money into that as if I were paying it off. The only thing is I didn't buy it. I didn't finance it. And then once I have the money that's in there, I could go ahead and buy it free in cash. And so I've used that for a while. And it's worked really good. I actually do it with the taxes too. So I pay quarterly taxes to a high yield savings account, and I collect a small amount of interest on that. And with that interest just continues to build over time. But I have access to that money because I like to always have a certain amount of cash around in case some sort of deal comes up. Like a year and a half ago, I almost bought the CrossFit gym up the street from me. That there might be an opportunity to do that or something like that. And so I'd rather have the access to some of that cash than not have it. So I don't put too much into other investments, and that's why I don't put into a CD. And obviously I invest in the market, but not a ton. Right now I have a lot of cash on hand. A lot. That's stupid. I shouldn't say a lot because people are gonna be like, that's not a lot. But I have like enough to where if anything were to come up. And that's the way that I like to do it. So like if I let's say I want to hire a new coach at the gym. So if you're an affiliate owner and you listen to this, right? And you're like, okay, shit, like what if I want to bring this coach on for $1,000 a month? We're like, can maybe make that, but I'm kind of afraid. So if I bring this coach on and then 3 months later we take a dip in membership or something happens and I can no longer afford this person, that's going to really suck because then I have to kind of let them go or continue to like pay them even though I necessarily can't afford it. So what I do is, again, I open up another checking account. You call it new coach. You start paying that account, that $1,000 a month, and then you give yourself a runway because you'll be able to see that money come out of the bank account. You could still have access to it, but that your operating expense account shows that money's coming out, so you could see what that's like. And then once you have that runway, like let's say you paid that account for like 3 months or 4 months or whatever it is, now you bring that new coach on, and instead of paying to the account, you just pay that coach. And then what ends up happening is you have 4 months of reserve of that coach's pay that you put into the other checking account sitting there. So if you do reach a little rough patch, you don't have to pull out of the operating expenses. You've already allocated that money for that coach. And then guess what? If it rolls on and you end up making money off that hire, which you should, because if you hire somebody, you should at least get a 2-to-1 return on whatever you're paying them for. And if then if they work out, then great. And then I got an extra $4,000 or $6,000 or whatever the case is right there in that savings. So then what I do is you could either just leave that and go for a third coach, or you could allocate that money somewhere else, maybe split it in half and say, okay, I'm going to put this towards new equipment and I'm going to do this. The issue is like people just aren't patient enough, and being patient does suck. Like I get a lot of shit for my car. Like, you know, we joke about it here, but like even the members and stuff are like, oh my gosh. And a lot of other things, like there's stuff in the gym that I could buy a ton of fancy equipment really quick and you know, like finance it all and I would be fine. I would get approved on all of it, whatever. But the thing is like, why? It's you're just like rushing to get there. And there's nothing on the other side of that. So I don't mind slowing that process down and just being patient with it. And plus two, owning a gym. So everything I own is mine. I own it all. Everything in the gym. If you look at the balance sheet, it's completely healthy. There's no liability on it. I don't run anything with I don't hold any debt on any of the credit cards or anything like that. We'll typically use like one like household, you know, card that like graces all the household spending on, or we might do this, but it just pays that off every single month, and we only use it for very specific things. The majority of the time we don't even use it that much. But for me, I like to live that because I view money as a tool for freedom. Nothing more. And I want to own my time, not fancy fucking shit to impress a bunch of people that I don't really care to impress anyways. Right? So if you think about that, the more money you hold on to, that's capital human resources that you own. And most importantly, your own capital resource, your own time. So if you're able to keep that money, keep yourself out of debt, you're literally buying your freedom. You're literally buying your freedom. And I'm going to do a spoiler alert because I had this post, but I couldn't get it to format correctly. But here, I'll bring it up for you guys here. This is crazy. So this was a chat GPT thing. Let me see if I could find it. Hold on. This I ran this through chat GPT and they were able to pull up. Okay. So here's the question I asked. If there was an $1,000 emergency that you weren't prepared for, whatever happened, and you got to spend $1,000, can most American adults cover that expense out of their savings? And here's the answer. No. Most American adults cannot cover a $1,000 unexpected expense in their savings. Several recent surveys indicate that a significant portion of American adults would struggle to pay for a sudden $1,000 expense, such as a car repair or medical bill. According to a January 2025 bank report, only 41% of Americans say that they would be able to use their savings to cover a $1,000 emergency expense. 41%, $1,000, paycheck to paycheck. 59% of Americans do not have enough savings to cover such an expense. 27% of US adults have no emergency savings at all. So almost 30% have zero fucking savings, zero ownership of their freedom and time. Pay attention to the game, you guys. It's not what you fucking think. 43% of people would resort to borrowing money, such as credit cards, with a 25% interest on them, or take out a loan or borrow money for friends and family on a $1,000 fucking emergency. $1,000. I mean, we're not talking 10,000. So if you imagine, like, okay, I don't even have enough to have $1,000 or whatever in my checking, right? And now something comes up that's $10,000. Dude, like, you're fucked. Because if you don't even have that amount of money in the bank, you can't get a loan with a low interest because they're going to look at it like, dude, you're so high risk. So then if you go ahead and like get yourself a credit card and like, let's say you're able to find somebody that cuts you a deal and it's only at 15%. Now you get that $1,000 and you're at a 15% interest rate and you know you can't fucking pay it back because you didn't have the money in the first place. So now all of a sudden that's what pulls you into that loop. So And Jeremy and Pat, you guys are about to get fucked up in a second. So hold on here. This was even more interesting though. So listen to this. So then I started going down the rabbit hole because ChatGPT worked on the airplane. So the next question I had was, if I have $10 and I have zero debt, do I have more of a net worth than most Americans? And the answer to that is yes. So according to a 2023 Credit Suisse Global Wealth Report, approximately 25% of Americans have a negative net worth. This means that their debt exceeds their assets. Therefore, if you have $10 and no debt, your net worth is $10, which is greater than 25% of Americans. $10. Think about that. Now, then I started going down the rabbit hole a little bit more. I said, what's the average American savings? And what's the mean of the savings, right? So like average is going to be skewed a little bit because you're going to take in really high numbers, and then you're going to also have like the really low number. But the average American has in savings $65,000. But this is like mutual funds and retirement funds and different things that are in there. So that might not necessarily just be cash, right? And again, that's average because you have people that have hundreds of million in the bank, right? Now the median savings, which is like that midpoint, represents that midpoint. The Federal Reserve's last data report indicated that the median transaction account balance, meaning like out of checking in savings accounts in the banks, it's only $8,000. And some sources cited the median emergency savings as around $5,000. But here's the kicker. The average amount of debt, credit card debt, that an American has, or the median of that, is $5,600. Holy crap. Right? Holy crap. So let's go into this real quick because there was two comments that I love this. Wait, what did I say? You could have $10, then you're homeless, and you would still be better off than most people in debt. And you'd probably still be better off than most lawyers and doctors because all of them get way into debt with school and everything else. And then when they finally get a little bit of money, they just go ahead and start expanding their lifestyle. Okay, fuck me up, bro. I should finish my statement. Go have some kids, then have their mom divorce you and take all your shit. Okay, that last, okay. So, correction, Jeremy fucked me up. The last portion with the mom divorce and take all your shit, yeah, okay, I'm not even touching that one, dude. You're probably right with that. But what Pat was saying is like, if you don't, if you have kids or you don't know about this or you don't know about that, and that book that I referenced a couple of shows ago, the Courage to Be Disliked, has a psychology. Okay. So Alderian psychology is known as a individual psychology, and it is a humanistic and goal-orientated approach to psychotherapy developed by Alfred Adler, emphasizing an individual's strive for superiority and social connectedness. And basically, this type of psychology says like whatever it is that you're saying to yourself, because all relationships are interpersonal relationships. So whatever you say to yourself or whatever you're projecting out onto other people is your goal. And regardless of what your situation or circumstance is, your self-thought and your relationship with yourself is either going to change that situation or keep you stuck exactly in that situation. So if your goal is to be broke, you will say things like, well, easy for you to say, or I don't have this, or you don't have this. And you could use all those excuses, and they're true. I'm not even saying they're wrong. But you are there in citing those and making it your goal to stay there, because you could move away from that as well too. And so it's pretty interesting. And the reason why they call it like goal orientated is because being able to shift whatever it is in your mind and that story that you're telling yourself about whatever the situation is you have to realize that if you start moving down the path of, and I'm not like whatever victim or just going through the negative motions of I am in the position I am because of these circumstances. And again, I'm also saying that I'm not discrediting them, but by you reciting them, that you're making it your goal to be stuck there. And the courage to be disliked. It might not be for everybody, but it's an interesting listen, and I'm about halfway through it. And so here's the 4 stages. Engagement, build a strong therapeutic relationship with yourself. Assessment, exploring the individual's lifestyles and early experiences, recount back to yourself. Insight, helping a person see the situation differently. That's the hardest part. And so you have to be able to look at your situation and then decide, okay, what is the goal that I want to get out of here? And then see your situation differently. And there's like a Tony Robbins line that, or at least I've heard him use it all the time. And he said, you have 2 options. Either life could happen to you or life could happen for you. And a lot of the times when we do the like X, Y, and Z, this happened, and so I'm like this, it's like, okay, so you could leverage that in 1 of 2 ways. This happened to me, it's out of my control, situation sucks, and I hate it. Or you could say this happened for me and figure out how you could leverage your situation and move yourself away from it. And I get that is way more fucking easier said than done. And depending on what the situation is, this could be like a lot of work, right? So I don't want to discredit anybody's experiences or individual situations, but the Avery right there. Perception is reality. And so the more that you're telling yourself these stories all the time, you are making it your goal to stay stuck into that place. And so you do have the ability to work yourself out of it, but you just have to understand, going back to the first thing we started with, the Robert Greene quote, which the most powerful thing is to be able to analyze yourself, why you feel the way you feel, why you act the way you act, and then truly try to find the meaning of that. And then pulling yourself out of yourself to look at it from a higher level, to kind of assess the situation and then say, hey, is this actually serving me? Or am I just playing the victim in this situation? And it is easy to play the victim. It's super easy to play the victim because then you don't have any responsibility. Because the second you take responsibility, then you know that that's on you. But if I don't take responsibility and I play the victim, I don't need to use it for change. I could just be stuck in this position. So I've been really on this thinking the real value, to tie this into the money situation a little bit, the real value that humans possess is storytelling and cooperation. That's all of this, everything is all stories, storytelling and cooperation, because the story that is told to us as a society gets us to move and cooperate in a certain manner. The stories that we tell ourselves get us to move and operate in a certain manner. The story that I could tell people will get them to behave and move in a certain manner. And you could ask yourself, and I go to the business side with this because that's the lane I enjoy. And I think about these like SoftBank that invested $1 billion into like this WeWorks or like all this other shit, right? And you're like, how did all these people that have all this money that are so smart get duped into this? Storytelling. If you're able to cast a strong vision and people could see themselves inside of that vision and it aligns with their self-interest, you get them to invest and you get them to move to action. And just to cap that off, the craziest thing about it when you think is, and I still have the quote written here, there's 2 levers to moving men. There's 2 levers to getting people to be, getting humans to do what you want them to do. There's 2. There's self-interest and fear. Those are the 2 big catalysts to get you to move to action. I'm either it's aligned with my self-interest. Why are you at the bar? Why are you buying these drinks? I'm trying to hook up with chicks, man. You know what I mean? That's okay. It's in your self-interest. Napoleon Bonaparte. Graciano nailed it. And that you're gonna, hey, this is gonna be good for me. I'm gonna go and do this, or I'm afraid of what will happen, so now I'm going to act this way. See the COVID guidelines, for example. Exactly. Are you sure my baby needs 30 vaccines? I don't know. If something bad happens, that's going to be on you, mom. Do you want to be that mom that didn't do this and then your kid got messed up? Now you're being moved to action, even though it might go against your gut feeling, because it's fear. It's a fear-based decision. And I love to analyze that, because going back to the Robert Greene quote about analyzing what it is, you could just ask yourself that: am I making this decision out of fear, or am I making this decision because it's moving me closer to my goal? And then again, define what your goal is going to be, because you're not going to be able to move away from any situation unless you really define it and then act accordingly. And then the fourth one on that was on the 4 stages of Alderian therapy: engagement, assessment, insight. And then the last one is reorientation, providing activities that a person can perform outside of the conversations that you're having. So like outside of the therapy, to things of like, X, Y, and Z. So anyways, if you want to stay broke, keep telling yourself the story. What's the book? The Courage to be Disliked. The Courage to be Disliked. And if you really start to think about the only value that we possess is the story we tell ourselves, the contributions we make to others. I don't know. Hopefully that'll make a catalyst of change for you guys to analyze yourselves, your actions, and really what do you want out of life. And secondly, spend less than you make. And you guys are all fitness people in here. And I wrote this thing out. I'm still going to make this post, but I said finance and fitness are very similar. Lots of work with very little result in the short term. Very hard to gain, very, very easy to lose. They both demand attention and focus on a day-to-day basis. They both are predicated on your lifestyle choices. Americans are sick and they're broke, and our system profits off both. You have the power to own both if you're willing to put in the work. Make a decision and get focused. And I truly believe that. Like, if you guys actually paying attention, we talk about like the wealth gap and all this other shit. Yeah, it's because all of us are focused on buying fucking distractions all the time. Nobody wants to buy assets. They would rather have the short-term decision. Oh, I'm being made fun of because I drive this Civic. You know what I'm going to go get? I could go ahead and leverage my gym, leverage all the cash I have, and buy a fucking Ferrari. And then what? I look cool. I drive in with it. One repair is necessary, and now I have to go in debt to even fix it because I couldn't even afford this shit in the first place. But I just bought it because the story I told myself is I'm inferior and I need to be looked at as superior. So I'm going to buy this thing so people think this and tell themselves the story about me. Yeah. And then this is my favorite. Susie, you only live once and you could get hit by a bus tomorrow. Be responsible to a point and enjoy your life. This is true. And I like that as well. But you need to do it calculated. I need to push against that, Pat, because way more people think what you think. Not what you think, but what you said there. I don't know if you think that, but what you said there. I could drop dead tomorrow, fuck it, spend everything. Guess what? You don't drop dead. And then 10 years later, you're in a real fucked position. 20 years later, you don't have a retirement. 30 years later, you're hoping that you had enough equity on your house that you could sell it and then just use that for your retirement. And if you just would have gone back and said, well, maybe if I just was a little more strategic, still enjoyed life, but was a little more strategic, I could even really enjoy the fruit that seed that I planted back then bears now. So yes, believe me, I spend my money on convenience and experiences. I will pay to fly first class to Europe with my wife and have that experience. because I will pay for the convenience, I'll pay for the luxury, and I'll pay for the experience. I will not buy new clothes or cars or any of this shit for other people's opinions of me, or because I think those external things are going to change the story I'm telling myself about myself, because they don't. So you got to oscillate right between enjoying life, saving and being responsible, having a long-term plan, and just being smart about it. So I don't necessarily disagree with that, Pat, but I do think it all just needs to be put in perspective. It's like one of those things where, like, if we push back against anything sugar, and everybody says, well, it's not that bad. You guys have a Snickers too, or you guys have this, or you guys have that. It's like, yes, we do. But at the same time, if I'm going to sit up here on my little fucking soapbox and like talk and preach, like I got to push all the other way, because guess what? There's no lack of people fucking enjoying their lives. There's no lack of people taking the shortcut. There's no lack of victims. There's no lack of entertainment distractions. There's no lack of excuses. There's not. But there's a lack of responsibility. There's a lack of pushing back against it. There's a lack of saying like, hey, that's wrong. There's a lack of saying, fuck that. Think about the long term. So anyhow, all right. Yeah, Riley's right. Caesar wanted to sign off 30 minutes ago. No, I was having a good time with you guys. I was having a good time. Zeke, where could I buy your course? You know what's funny is I put join my 8-week finance and fitness program. 8 weeks of principles built on Dave Ramsey and CrossFit to intervene and save your life. There's no course though. I don't actually have a course. All right, guys. Have a great day. Savon will be back tomorrow morning, maybe a show tonight. We might have the weekend review update. Depending on what's going on in the gym, maybe I'll be able to make that when Savon gets back. And that's it. All right, cool. Thank you guys. Draw your dagger. What's up? Pat, love you, dude. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.